when you are deciding what to do next. Think about the most painful, most awful, scary, intimidating thing and do that.
This is the headquarters of Genius.
Genius HQ.
How did you guys come up with Genius?
If you've ever been listening to a song and wondered, what does that line mean, or what was that lyric, or what's the song about, or even what went down in the studio the day it was produced, the goal of Genius is to take that information and put it at your fingertips whenever you're listening to music.
You go on our site and you'll see every Hamilton track, and there are 10 times as many words written about the Hamilton lyrics in annotations as there are Hamilton lyrics themselves.
My only job is to marry rich. My father has no sons, so I'm the one. Yeah. The Genius community dug up and said, well, actually, Philip had 15 children.
What song were you listening to when you came up with this idea?
Yeah, we listened to a lot. We weren't like hip-hop snobs. Like, we weren't like, oh, this obscure rapper you never heard of. We loved, like, Cameron, Lil Wayne, mixtape Wheezy at the time, and Nas and Eminem and Biggie and Tupac.
So you're listening to the music, you're saying, what does it mean? Please explain.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were literally just listening and kicking it around and talking about the lyrics and we just found it to be like an exhilarating conversation. There's literally a moment where Tom said, there should be a website for this. I remember it clear as day.
People are always pretending to know things they don't know. You can go out in the world and you will be in social situations and you will mention the names of people or things, and then people's faces will light up as if they recognize what you're talking about. Often, they don't, but they are pretending to. And so what Genius is about is making it cool to admit that you don't know the reference that the person just made or what the person is talking about, to admit you don't know, to learn. And that is the thing that drove the creation of the site. Since then, we've taken the Genius concept of deeper knowledge and context and expanded beyond music to other forms of text and literature. Now we have a new project for annotating all of news and all of the internet.
Your backstory. Best friends, met in college.
Biffles.
Biffles. What's a biffle?
Best friend for life.
Best friend for life.
You
Got
gotta
it.
say it.
Yeah, I have never heard it said out loud. How do you manage to work together as biffles? The two of you have gone to couples therapy.
Have we ever?
Is that still happening?
Every week.
What do you talk about in couples therapy?
You can always get caught up in what's the next thing we have to do for the business? What's the next sort of move we have to make? But just get in a room and don't talk about any specific operational goal. Just see what comes out.
How did you choose the values you wanted Genius to espouse?
It actually started, I think we were doing this informally. We met this guy, Dan Gilbert, who is one of our investors, and he runs many different companies. He runs a big online mortgage business. He owns sports teams. He owns hotels and real estate in Detroit. He basically said the most important thing is not what you do, it's who you are and what's unchanging, whether you sold vacuum cleaners or annotated lyrics or whatever. You need to define who you are, and that is the most important thing about managing a big organization.
It seems corny when you think about it in the abstract, but when you actually start writing it, you think, wow, there's some heavy stuff in here.
I want to go through, tick for me, tick down all of the values. How many values are there?
I don't think we could
I can name them.
You can name them all.
Okay, so it's not your job. That's the opening value, which basically means that a company like Genius, at a startup, you're not going to, people's work isn't going to be assigned very precisely. You've got to look out and say, oh, here's a project that's important, and no one is ultimately backstopping it. No one's ultimately ensuring that it gets done. I want to step up. I volunteer to step up to handle that. It's not your job.
One of them is called Feel It to My Face, which is really about, when you have something that's on your mind, that's interpersonal, you should say it and say it directly to that person, because if you don't, it's going to come out in other ways.
The endingism, going to the end, is we'll figure it out, which is just an ism that represents the idea that things are going to get stressful, things are going to get hard, things are at times going to feel really bad. Like, here's this tough problem. How do we solve it? We have no idea. We'll figure it out as something you can say to assure everyone, through our belief in ourselves and our ingenuity and hard work, are going to be able to get to an answer, and so make it really relevant.
We have one Passover themed one, which is don't fill up on bread, which is don't work on small, easy projects. Don't just fill up on kind of easy to do. Don't just do your email all day. You could
that Alaskan king crab.
Yeah.
Or some other good
Run
ones.
into the spike.
Run into the. How could I forget run into the spike? Run into this. You say it. Run into the spike. Crucial.
Run into the spike. It's kind of a violent image, but the idea is when you are deciding what to do next, think about the most painful, most awful, scary, intimidating thing and do that.
Go to a gym-esque place.
Rather than saying go to the gym, we're saying whatever your thing is that gives you a recharge. You know, you could go get a massage, you could go take a walk or whatever, but it's basically like you're going to get stressed out, you're going to get overwhelmed. Do not think you have to have your butt in the seat and that's what doing work is and doing a good job is. You know, sometimes you have to push through and persevere and work, but like give yourself a break. Like go to the gym, come back, feel refreshed, or a gym-esque place.
Have a Soylent.
Have a Soylent.
Yeah, I've had a lot.
Go relax in the corner with a Soylent for 35
We
seconds.
could actually, that
That's
could be like,
pretty good.
ABC could have that.
Yeah.
We do have a Soylent corner at ABC. It's my office. What's the toughest lesson you've had to learn in the creation of genius?
I think the most important lesson, and probably the toughest lesson, is just never quit. And so, you know, I went to speak to a young group of entrepreneurs recently, and they're like, what's the one piece of advice or whatever? It's like, do not quit. Like, quitting is guaranteeing yourself failure. Not quitting does not guarantee you success, but just don't quit. There are going to be lots of times you feel like something else would be much better or much easier, but everyone who's done anything that you look out in the world and think is valuable, whether in entertainment, the arts, startups, whatever, had to fight through a lot of quitting-esque moments.
It's the same thing I tell people when they ask how to be a world-class potter. I say make 10,000 pots. Easy, right? Just make pots, don't quit. And I think, what's the 10,000 pots of business? You fill in the blank, but you gotta do 10,000 of them, and no matter how painful it is or how bad of a job you do on the first 50, keep doing it, don't quit, and you'll be good.
As somebody who goes by the name of Becky, I was born Rebecca Jarvis, but people called me Becky growing up. What is the origin of Becky the White Girl in rap music?
That is a great question, and we actually today have a pretty definitive video exploring the origins of that word. It comes originally from the Sir Mix-a-Lot song.
Oh my God, Becky.
Exactly. That is the first sort of mainstream usage that drove the cultural
Why
meme.
did they choose Becky? Couldn't it have been any other name?
It's unfortunate.
How do you keep the super sharers, the people who are really into genius, how do you keep them from infighting and trying to trump each other with whatever they're including in the annotations?
It's hard.
Talk to Nappy. Nappy runs chat, basically. He never annotates. But no, there's fighting.
Who are the super, give some shout outs to the super genius.
There's so many, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'll just think of a couple who've done some amazing job lately. So I want to shout out Frias, who does a great job transcribing. She's an amazing contributor from California, and she's been working with Streetlights a lot on transcription. But there's just so many usernames we could mention. I can't even believe I shouted out Nappy because Lord knows he doesn't deserve it.
Uh-oh.
Nappy does some good
them's
stuff
fighting words,
in
Nappy.
chat.